Hi everyone, welcome to this Scalar 3 video on how to create an ABA+Coda piece of music. So let's get started. Welcome to this third video about Scalar 3 and my experience with using it over the past 3 weeks. In this video, I'm going to create a structured piece of music with the structure of A, B, A, and a coda section. So 4 smaller sections, and in this I'm going to use the existing chords that come with Scalar 3. So I'm in the chord set page and I'm going to go common progressions, and you can navigate to any of these progressions. They have a description. This one's called Resolving, Blessed, Journey, Happy, and there's quite a few. So I'm going to go with Happy, Colored 1, and I've changed the instrument to grand piano, and this is what it sounds like. You'll notice as well that the metronome is set to 180, so that it's quite a fast 4/4 up here, and the quarter beat is quite fast, so that we don't waste too much time listening to the same progression. So now that was good. I like that. Let's go to the colored 3 and see what that sounds like. Well, they sound like they were made for each other. So I'm going to take the first 4 bars from here, colored 1, and add to main track. And then I'm going to go to colored 3 and take the 3 chords and send them again, add to main track. And now we've got 7 chords. And on the 7th and 8th, I want to modulate to the next section called B, and it's in the scale of D major. So to do that, we are going to go to the second page, and the second page is called Current Scale. And here you're going to see the circle of fifths, which you're probably quite familiar with. So we're going to go from a C progression to D major, and the traditional requirement is you play the 5th of the scale you're going to before you hit that scale. So in this case, it's an A. So I'm going to, in my 7th or 8th bar, I'm going to have an A chord or an A 7th, and that will take us to D major, and that is how this progression circle of fifths works. So it's fairly close, C to A or C to D. You can see how that works. So let's do that. Let's use Scalar for help to do this. So I'm going to click on Scalar's modulation page. You see progression, then you see destination scale. We're already in D. I just clicked that. And we have 3 chords that will take us to D major very easily. We don't need all 3 chords. So I would take the G and then the A and then to the D. So let's drag the G here, then the A, and then we're going to finish on a D major chord. So you can find a D major here, right here, for instance, and drag it in. And there's our progression. Let's hear what that sounds like. That's more than 8 bars, so I want to take this G major chord, this chord, A major, and I want to make them into half note chords. To do that, you need to go to the 3rd page, and this is called the arrange page, and jump way over to the opposite side top, and you'll see 1 bar. Click on that, and then select half note. And now we can touch the edge of the G chord and just drag it to the left, and there you have half notes. A now is a half note, and bring the D over. And let's listen to the very end of it. Okay, so we're there, we made it. So you know what? We need to have a look at some of these chords because they sound very traditional and predictive. That's because each one of them starts on its chord name, and its root is, in this one C, the root is F, D, G, C, and so on. And that makes it very blocky sounding, very predictable, almost amateurish. So what you do there is you select them and have a look at the MIDI editor that is in Scalar 3. And over here, you can see all the chords. So I'm dragging down on this scroll bar so you can see them. And there are the chords to this. And you'll notice that they have 4 or 5 or 6 notes per chord, except for the 2 new ones we placed in. So to fix that up, you can click on the pencil and you can say this is an E minor. So I'm going to guess and say E minor. The E is here. It's not there. So we'll get to push the arrow and drag this to an E right there. And then this is the G, oops, B, E minor, and then we want to put an A over here. So let's guess. That's a B, and I'll just drag it down. Okay, so let's hear from C major 7th and see what that sounds like. Very full. One of the things you can do with this is you can use these parameters on the left side here, and you'll see that we can work with the octaves. We can take your chord up an octave or 2 or down. You can use different inversions to make them sound more flowing and transparent. You're going to see that in a moment. You can modulate them by semitones, density. You can thin them out. Bring this one that has 5 or this one that has 6. You could take one of the notes out. It will do that for you. In our case, we're going to go to try this auto voice leading. And this can also be found down here under voice grouping. But while we're over here, we can do it from here. Auto voice leading, I clicked that and watch what happens to the chords. It does move them slightly. So let's hear just what it did. Ooh, put a very heavy G bass there. So that's quite interesting. So let's now go to voicing and change them up. Try the dynamic. Let's start beginning to play that. A little more gentle. So let's try something else. That's dynamic. Let's go to open voicing. Oh, what do you notice here? The notes of the chords have come closer. So listen to this. Very soft and rather constricted. How about open voicing? Very similar. How about guitar voicing? It's even closer and less notes because of the number of strings on a guitar. Okay, so if you're happy with this, let's use dynamic. If you want to go 1 octave, you get a little stratospheric sound. That would be nice for a certain type of music. You know, I'm going to leave that, and let's just see what we can do with that. Okay, we've now got our A section pattern ready to go. And where I want to go now is have a look at the bottom here where it says performance. And if I click on acento, these are motions that your chords will not be stagnant and just playing 4 beats or 2-beat chords. They will have motion. So I'm going to suggest you go to phrases, maybe avant-garde, common phrases, basic, and try to find something that is fairly simple, and then we can hear it. Okay, if you don't like that, just go back to the pattern and click and hold. And if we reduce the 180 down to where it should be, we can't do that right now. We've got to wait, but I'll demonstrate. And then that would sound very Baroque or even classical. So this gives you an idea of what you can do to get some movement in your piece. Con moto, you could look at some of those and see what they sound like. So quite a lot going on there, but I want to go to something very simple. So that's why I selected the common phrases, basic, and you can choose one that you like. So if I choose that one, I'm going to now choose that, and then I'm going to bring the metronome down to 120-ish. Okay, so there we go. Let's hear what that sounds like. Very nice. Okay, I like that a lot. And I want to go back to the first page and change the piano to an electric piano and see what that sounds like. Okay, so we've got our first instrument there. Let's go to the Arrange page, the third page of these three icons, and just review again. We've got this, and now we're going to switch it from the MIDI editor to the mixer. And from here, you can continue playing, and you can modify the sound. I'm going to bring the reverb down a bit, because later on I'll put a reverb on the entire composition rather than each instrument. Okay, so let's move right now to adding another instrument. In adding another instrument, simply go to the Arrange and the plus sign and click on that and click Expressions, Bass. I'm going to go for simplicity here, so Common Bass, Basic, and you can audition any of these. That's too busy. That's perfect for what we need. So I'll double click that, and there it is in its own lane or track. And if we solo it and listen to it, this is what it sounds like. Now, you're going to say, that's not a bass, that's a felt piano. So you have to go and select Internal Sounds, Bass, and I'm going to try Slap Bass. And then that will sound much better. And I'll just audition it quickly. And you can modify the sound. Okay, so that's fine. Now, let's go to adding our B section, and we can thicken this up towards the end of this video. Now, to establish our B section's chord progression, I want to go and first of all change the key that we're in, seeing we've modulated to D major. To do so, you scroll up underneath chord set. I'm just scrolling up from here and select all scales. Select D, F sharp, and A if you want to be exact. And down here it says D major scale. That's where we want to go. So double click that and we're all set. We're now in D. Click the middle tab, and that is the current scale. And we're where it said circle of fifths, modulation, and I've covered these in other videos, but we're going to look again at medians. So when I click on D major, our next chord will be a third from it, a type of third. It could be major, minor, etc. So have a look at the sound. We have D. If you like that, go for it. How about now? These are all minor and kind of dark. So I'm going to select the D major and then go to A sharp major and go to, for our third chord, I'm here now. and that goes from B flat major, A sharp major, and we can go to the major of G. So we're here. And we can modify the height of that chord. It's a little too high by an octave. I'll drag that. And then I think to go to the 5 chord of D major, drag that down. And then we're back into D major. And we just need one more chord. If we choose the A sharp major or the B flat major, we can then modulate to F major much easier. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chords, and let's put the other 2 chords here from the secondary scale, and we're going from D to F major. And these are the 3 chords you need to go to F major. So we're here at B flat. And there we go, we're into F. So again, we'll fix these chords up so they're all in the same register. And then we're at F major now for the final repeat of the A section. And I think what we can do now is put our metronome up, and then we can listen to it. Let's listen to our progression now. Let me just bring it back to the start of that. And here we go. Okay, so our B section is done and we've modulated to F major. And if you wanted to do this, you could take these chords and repeat them so you have that sound, and then you just have to modulate them to F major if we wanted to do that. So before we go into that, let's go over to the arrange page, and you'll notice that the bass part is only playing up to this D section, the end of it here. So you can now stretch that and it will continue in the new key. So again, I'll just play from maybe F major here so you can hear that. And again, the bass has gone too high in those, but we can fix that. Let's have a look at this. I'll just click here and start. So it's sort of around here, the A. And it's here where you notice it goes way up there. So you could select them all like that and go over here and do a -1. And it's hopefully brought them down. Let's have a little look. Okay, so that's an easy way to fix that. So we're now going back to our A section and then to the coda. So at the end of the B section, I took the G minor and C 7th chords and I made them half notes, as I showed you earlier in the video. So that completes the B section. So if I want to go to the A section and I want to repeat these chords, we can do that, and that would go here for the new section in F major. But the problem is our original chords are in C major. So to do anything to that, we can transpose them. Let's find them in the original state they were in. That was the happy and then colored 3. And you can take these chords and by selecting this semi and clicking and dragging up a fifth, 5 semitones, we can modulate it to F major. There we go. That's F major. And we can now we can take the last 3 and bring them down here. And then we need to select colored 1 and take the first 3. And then we need to hit the 5th chord of F major, which is C7th or just C. And that will, let me just check this one out here, add 9th. No, we could do that. And that will get us to F major. So that is the end of the repeat of the A section. And you can again make these chords here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these chords here, make them half notes again. And F major. And now we're ready for the coda. So before we do that, let's go and have a look at our bass part in the mixer. And it's a tight bass. I changed that. And I'll click on the bass from the A section. I'm now going to ask it to follow the same pattern for the B and back to the A section. And we have it now ready to go. So let's move it to 180 and let's just listen to this and see what you think. Okay, well, I'm happy with that, except for one chord, and that would be this one here. And it's the B flat 5th. And what you can do with that one is you can right click on that and say edit chord. And it will show you, let's get that proper chord. It's this one here. And there it is, B flat to B flat. E is the note that is the 5th, the diminished 5th. Let's get rid of that. And now we're finished that. Okay, so we're going to go on to our coda now. Okay, I'm at the coda now, and it is going to end, of course, on F major. And the coda usually is about 4 to 8 bars containing some material you've used in the piece of music. So it's going to have some chords, some motifs, and melodic fragments. And then the piece ends on F major. So I want to just do something a little different. I'd like the next chord to be going from F to G. And if I want to do G, that's going to be very easy to go from F to G, but I want to do it via a D major chord. And it's going to be a D7th to G, and then to B flat, which is down here, and then C7, and finish on F major. So this is what that looks like. Here's the D7th. And then we're going to go to a G minor 7th, which is, I'm going to push the Option key and drag it over. Okay. I think I lost my D chord. There it is. F, D7, G minor, B flat major 7th. And then I want to go to C7th, and that's over here. Option drag to the very end. And then finish on the F. Option drag it over, And there's the entire piece. So let's go over to the arrange page and have a look at that bass part, because I want it to stretch over to the end of the piece. So here it is, and I'm just going to drag it, and it will take on the same pattern that's there. But right here you'll notice there's an extra note. So I want to just drag this over here and get rid of that. I know that's going to be a problem. And if you need it bigger, you just do that. Make it short and then use your mouse to bring it up. And there it is right there, that note. I'm going to delete that. And of course this turns red when you adjust the pattern. So that is the piece completely done. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the other parts by clicking on the plus sign and expressions, to add some things from here to finish the piece, and then I'll be back to you with the final product so you can hear it in its entirety. So stay tuned, I'll be right back. As you can see, I used a mixture of sounds from Scalar 3, the Free Berlin Orchestra, and Contact 7 instruments that I felt suited the mix. Thank you for viewing this video to the very end, and leave any comments or questions you may have. Take the best of care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.